Hello everyone, welcome to From the Star Wars Home Video Library. I'm your host, Nathan B. Butler. This time, we have a supplemental episode. So those watching in the feed are like, wow, this looks much nicer than the ones I just watched in the playlist. What gives? It's being recorded much later than the earlier episodes featuring these types of items. But it's a supplemental episode going all the way back, really to the beginning of this video series. One of the first things ever covered on this series was Star Wars on Super 8. In other words, 8mm Super 8 film reels that didn't actually have the entire Star Wars films on them, but selected scenes that if you happen to have a projector, you could use to relive Star Wars, or at least parts of Star Wars in The Empire Strikes Back, or A New Hope in The Empire Strikes Back, as it would later be called, in your home. These are something that I actually hadn't been picking up as often, simply because I was looking for full versions of the films first. But as I've sort of finished up that part of the collection, I finally moved on and started looking for more Super 8s. And in general, I can give you here what is basically a quick overview of all the different Super 8 reels for Empire Strikes Back and A New Hope. Now, as mentioned in those previous episodes, the company behind these selected scenes Super 8 reels for Star Wars was Ken Films. And they started releasing these reels in 1977, the same year that A New Hope was in theaters, which is huge, given the fact that it took 5 years until 1982 for us to get a full film release on any other home video media. The first of these that I added to my collection was the one that is usually thought of as the first, even though it's just one of the first, which is this one. This is Selected Scenes, runs about 8 minutes, give or take, and you notice up there at the top, in the center, it says black and white. So Star Wars Selected Scenes Black and White, Super 8, 20th Century Fox, Ken Films. This is number F48. You have that front. You have just sort of a Ken Films generic back here. Sides. Again, just Star Wars, essentially. We've looked at this one before. You open it up. Again, an actual film reel inside. This one, though, if you watched it, no color, no sound. It is the most basic of the different Star Wars Super 8 reels. If you wanted a little bit more for your money, you could also have gotten this one. Notice, there's a difference. What's the difference? A sticker. Covering up where it says black and white, it now says color. So yes, this is the Selected Scenes, but instead of black and white with no sound, it's color with no sound. Again, same sides, still called F48, same Ken Films thing on the back here. You open it up, and again, another of these little short reels. But if black and white wasn't enough, maybe just color with no sound wasn't enough either. Well, in that case, you're in luck. You could have gotten color and sound. Woo! Fancy, fancy! Again, though, still listed as F48, still the same sides. That is still a sticker, very much like what they did with VHS releases, where they put that sticker that said beta over the packaging and made it beta packaging. Again, same edges as on the other ones. Same back. Seen these before. Open it up. Again, the reel itself. Reel colors, of course, varied just given the time, and you were, of course, going reel to reel with the film. So you'll find these in all kinds of different colors for the reels themselves. But that's that short reel for A New Hope in 3 different versions, all progressively better. Black and white, no sound, color, no sound, and now color with sound. Now, another one for A New Hope that I already showed you a while back is this one. This one is a 17-minute reel here, right? This one has color and sound, has a New Hope kind of poster art here on the front. It says, featuring the cantina scene and the destruction of the Death Star. This one actually has a Star Wars base back to it, which again, we have looked at before. Has a Star Wars spine. This is labeled as F64. No spines on the other side because this is a clamshell case. You open up the clamshell case, you've got your 20th Century Fox embossed logo over here, and there's your much larger, almost 400-foot reel to give you even more different selected scenes from A New Hope. We've looked at this one in the past. There is, however, a second one, which should look very familiar. The other one is this. Wait, what? We've had 3 of them that look like this. About 8 minutes, selected scenes, black and white with no sound, color with no sound, color with sound. Now here's another that's a color with sound, only this one's saying it at the top, color and sound. Still says selected scenes, still says Super 8. This is a longer reel with more scenes on it. If you look at the edges, they're essentially the same, just on larger packaging. It's still labeled as F48. It's still got a generic Ken Films thing on the back. And I think that's kind of funny. Talk about these and the lengths and whatnot. This is 91 meters now. Running time, 16 minutes. Woo! That's some serious run time. Talking about Super 8, it actually kind of is. But notice, same packaging, just writ large, so to speak. You open it up, and there's your much larger film reel. Again, color and sound on that one. But wait, there's one more. You could have also got that one in a clamshell case. Now, we'll look at the inside here in just a second. I find this one kind of interesting. So you look at the top. It's that same type of cover again, only it's kind of weird. It's got a little bit more black on top. It's got Star Wars and F48 here on the side because it is a clamshell. There's no side for it to go on, and same thing here. It's literally like they took this cover off the big one and flattened it and kept one of the sides and the bottom and just flattened those suckers out to make the cover of this clamshell case. It's got a spine, still saying F48, that has Star Wars on it here. But you look at the back, and you might say, oh, Star Wars. Kind of. It's still generic Ken Films, but Star Wars is a big property for them. So C-3PO and R2-D2 get one image, but then they have images from other films next to it. You can see there. And it says, now you can bring all the singing, dancing, romancing, and drama of the silver screen right into your own living room with fabulous first-rate movie features, all from Ken Films. Thrill your family and friends with excerpts now, from today's most talked-about motion pictures, like Star Wars and Silver Streak, never heard of that other one, or yesterday's spectacular cinematic classics, including The Sound of Music and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And for the kids, a complete selection of ever-popular color cartoon classics. Whatever kind of film you enjoy, Ken Films has your favorites. Many of the original AIP and 20th Century Fox releases in clear, beautiful Super 8mm. Just ask your local movie dealer for the films you want, or send for your free Ken Films catalog. Ken Films, a great way to bring the stars to your house. And then it has their contact information down there on the bottom. So it's interesting that we did wind up getting 2 larger reels, and one of them is just in clamshell, whereas the other has a clamshell sort of mutated version and a standard box, but they're based on those earlier packages. It's a weird packaging and differentiation choice. That's what makes hunting these down somewhat difficult. Got to be very careful if you're looking on somewhere like eBay to keep an eye on, am I getting black and white with no sound? Am I getting color with no sound? Am I getting color and sound? Am I getting the big one with color and sound? Am I getting the clamshell? Am I getting the box? It's a little tricky. Now, I would note that there is a variant of this out there that is a widescreen version that essentially you can put a special lens on and do, but I gotta tell you, I've yet to see one of those in the US market, and I've heard conflicting reports from back in '77 as to whether or not they were actually marketed here. Ken Films still did them, but every time I hear about them, they're in some foreign market, not here, which suggests to me that maybe that's where it tended to be used the most. May not even been released here, but I'm assuming surely you could have ordered it here too, but I haven't actually seen one of those on hand. But looks basically like this and just has a notice there that it's widescreen. Now, when we looked at these before, I couldn't show you a thing from The Empire Strikes Back. I could talk to you about it, maybe clips from it thanks to Puggo, but I couldn't actually show you the products themselves. I have finally gotten my hands on all 3 of The Empire Strikes Back reels. So, the first of them, starting smallest. We have the short one, Selected Scenes, 8 minutes. The Empire Strikes Back, shorter Super 8 reel. Says Super 8, color, sound. That sound thing is a bit of a misnomer to some extent. Empire Strikes Back logo, notice it says down here, free sound cassette. Play the soundtrack on your cassette player along with the film. The Star Wars saga continues. So this is F63, Empire Strikes Back, Empire Strikes Back, Empire Strikes Back, and so on and so on and so on. Legal minutia and all. Nothing on the back, actually. It is black. You open this up. There's your film reel. But, free cassette? Take out the film reel. Underneath is a cassette tape. The Empire Strikes Back. You're meant to play this as you're playing the reel. In fact, it says, to be played on cassette player along with Super 8mm film print of The Empire Strikes Back. Both sides actually say the same thing. Very, very cool. This is the only one of these Super 8 releases for Star Wars that has a cassette tape to carry along the sound for you. Without the cassette tape, it's basically a color, no sound one, like that second variant I showed you from A New Hope. Always ones to reuse packaging. Also in 1980, alongside this smaller reel, we got a bigger one. That's right, this here is, again, selected scenes at 17 minutes this time, so more scenes here. The Star Wars saga continues, Super 8, color and sound, otherwise all pretty much the same. No sticker there because the sound, of course, is part of the reel. This one actually gets a Star Wars-centric back, just like that A New Hope one that has the movie poster cover. It says, first, there was Star Wars, the dazzling space fantasy adventure that captured the imaginations of millions of moviegoers. It told the exciting, unforgettable story of Princess Leia's courageous battle against the nefarious forces of the Empire. Now, the Star Wars saga continues with the all-new, super spectacular The Empire Strikes Back. And actually, may I rewind? Where's Luke? Where's Han? It's Leia's struggle. Woo! Boys need not apply. Once again, you'll cheer your favorite Star Wars characters. No, not gonna make another joke. Just saying. They're all here, played by those wonderful actors you enjoyed so much the first time. Mark Hamill as the intrepid Luke Skywalker, Harrison Ford as the adventure-hungry Han Solo, and Carrie Fisher as the beautiful Princess Leia. That would be such an issue today, wouldn't it? We're gonna have some kind of positive term for the male that has to do with his role in the story. For Luke, for Han, but when it gets to the woman, we're just going to make the adjective be about her looks, not her role. But it does refer to her courageous battle up in that first paragraph, so maybe we should let it go. Together, they will embark on a brand new series of adventures you won't want to miss. And they will be joined not only by some of the most popular characters in film history, those marvelous robots R2-D2 and C-3PO, Han Solo's lovable sidekick Chewbacca, and that dastardly arch-villain Darth Vader, but by many, many more new and fascinating characters as well. You'll thrill to more of the sensational special effects you enjoyed so much in Star Wars. And here in The Empire Strikes Back, the effects are more special, more spectacular, more dazzling than before. Directed by Irvin Kershner and executive produced by George Lucas, the movie genius who brought you Star Wars. There's a ellipsis in there for some apparent reason. Who brought you Star Wars? The Empire Strikes Back is much more than a sequel. May the Force be with you. And it's got the cast information down there. Our classic images and all. And on the inside, no cool embossed 20th Century Fox logo this time, but you got your big old reel there. But just like A New Hope, there were actually two of the larger selected scenes reels that put together could give you more of the movie. The second one for The Empire Strikes Back is this one. This is probably the rarest of them that I've run across, except maybe that widescreen version for A New Hope. Super 8, color, sound, selected scenes, 17 minutes. Interestingly, the only other text other than the logo on the front cover is Yoda, Jedi Master. Why are they labeling that character and not the others? Yeah, very different looking cover this time than the last ones. The Empire Strikes Back. This is F65 for Ken Films. The back, even cooler looking. We have a film reel looking thing of scenes from the film. Up here in the corner is Ken Films information. Over here is cast information. And here is information, of course, about what's inside. Notice, though, by the way, that here it says 2, and here it says 2. So unlike A New Hope, this will tell you which is the second reel versus the first. It says on the back, The Empire Strikes Back, the dazzling sequel to Star Wars, expands and deepens the original space epic by adding new adventures, new character revelations, and new and even more startling visual effects. In this version, Darth Vader, in this version, not this edition, not this episode, this version of Star Wars, okay, whatever. In this version, Darth Vader, the menacing arch-villain being capitalized, by the way, sends his Imperial forces to rout the rebels from their hideout on the ice planet Hoth. Han Solo, Princess Leia, Chewbacca, and C-3PO barely manage to escape in the Millennium Falcon, only to find refuge in the City of the Clouds, not Cloud City, City of the Clouds, where an unpleasant surprise awaits them. Luke, meanwhile, is visited by the spirit of Obi-Wan Kenobi, who tells him to search out Yoda on the planet Dagobah. Yoda is a long-eared, 2-foot-tall, 800-year-old Jedi Master, who is an extraordinary addition to the story. He instructs Luke in the ways of the Jedi and uses of the Force, preparing him to give Darth Vader a spirited battle with his light sword near the end of the film. Bum, bum, bum. In this case, you open it up, and mine's a little damaged up here at the top. You open it up, 20th Century Fox logo embossed here, and there's your reel. I like this one. Got it off of eBay. If you take the reel out, it actually still has the original advertising piece, which usually you wouldn't see today. Super Home Movies, Ken Films Incorporated, and it's got a list of various products that they offered at the time, films for the whole family, the finest in entertainment, different lists of their products and such, and then actually an order form on the back in case you wanted to order some of these. So yeah, it's not the full version of A New Hope in 1977. That's going to have to wait till 1982. But you could watch selected scenes in various fashions. Black and white, with and without sound, in color, and so on. Eventually getting a little over half an hour worth of material. Or, for The Empire Strikes Back, this wasn't the full film in 1980 either. That would have to wait until 1984. Right? 4 years later, before a full version hit home video. But, using these, you could get, again, a little over half an hour worth of the film, relive the experience as best as you could at home. Couple these with something like the novelizations and the comics, and the toys, of course, and you've got something that will at least tide fans over as we wait for the eventual full releases a few years later. I'm glad to have finally been able to pretty much wrap up this chunk of my collection recently, to finally be able to bring you these not just in descriptions, but actually showing you the products themselves. And hey, if you ever need to wrap up a dead body, all them film reels will do a pretty good job of it. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, we'll wrap up this episode with thank you for watching, and may the Force be with the home video viewers. Home video viewers. My voice is going.
Do you want to hide a body? No? Okay.
Again, same edges and all as before. But by many, many more new and fuck! Elefinito.